Insider gambling, a troubling denial of science, racism, and why was Evander Kane under 3 separate investigations in a 2-month period? Here are some seriously shady secrets that put the NHL on thin ice. While other major sports leagues have been rocked by doping scandals, the NHL has seemed to avoid any such major controversies. While some may take this to mean professional hockey players don't use as many drugs as other sports stars, that may not actually be the case. The truth is, the NHL may just be turning a blind eye to the issue. One requirement of the league is that, in the 5-month period between the start of the postseason and the start of next season's training camp, players could not be drug tested, and they could only be subjected to, at most, 2 random drug tests from the start of training camp through the end of the regular season. According to the National Hockey League Players Association, testing is limited so players could avoid potential distraction, via Bleacher Report. NHL players have a mix of opinions about these drugs. Edmonton Oilers star Connor McDavid told ESPN, "I think there probably was a time where it was being used a lot, but it's never really talked about." The NHL ultimately changed its policies, conducting tests in the postseason and off-season. However, even this new rule was limited, as only a maximum of 60 players would be randomly selected for testing. Professional hockey has a complicated relationship with on-ice fights. The International Ice Hockey Federation forbids fighting in games, including the Olympics, via USA Today. As for the NHL, fighting has long been an accepted part of the game, like when all-time great Gordie Howe spawned the Gordie Howe hat trick, when a player scores a goal, gives an assist, and gets in a fight all in one game. Another example is the Broad Street Bullies, the nickname of the Philadelphia Flyers from 1974 to 1976. The team was known as much for its offensive prowess as it was for its willingness to fight, even if it meant minutes in the penalty box. In the next decade, enforcers started to become a regular part of the NHL. These players were known for their aggressive styles and would rarely back down from a fight, USA Today reported. Though some efforts have been implemented to reduce fighting in the league, the NHL commissioner, Gary Bettman, never banned the practice as of 2022. He considered fighting a necessary thermostat, per the New York Times.
They had words at the end of the first period.
The Chicago Blackhawks are one of the original 6 franchises in the NHL and have a long history of winning. This was especially true in the first half of the 2010s, when the franchise won 3 championships in 6 years, hoisting the Stanley Cup in 2010, 2013, and 2015, per the New York Times. Behind the victories, sadly, was a much darker tale. In 2010, minor league player Kyle Beach accused the Blackhawks video coach Brad Aldrich of sexually assaulting him. However, franchise executives didn't fully investigate the claims because they were concerned any negative press would distract the team from their championship season, the New York Times reported. Aldrich resigned after the season and continued on to work for high school and college hockey programs. The franchise came under scrutiny for its misdeeds in 2021, when Beach filed a lawsuit against the Blackhawks for his encounter with Aldrich. Initially, the franchise dismissed Beach's story and claimed that it had no merit, though they did conduct an independent investigation. As a result, the NHL fined the Blackhawks $2 million for inadequate internal procedures and insufficient and untimely response.
Is that after being informed of Aldrich's alleged sexual harassment and misconduct with a player, no action was taken for 3 weeks.
In December 2021, the Blackhawks and Beach reached a settlement on the lawsuit between the two parties. The NHL is known for hazing its rookies with bad haircuts and other traditions to introduce new players to the league. Despite some players thinking these pranks were good, clean fun, the scenarios could easily get out of hand, and sometimes did. In 1988, the Los Angeles Times even wrote a piece highlighting that the league's hazing was, quote, an embarrassment.
When you're singularly focused on a goal, it's kind of scary what you'll accept to try and achieve that goal.
Unfortunately, it's an issue that goes well outside the NHL. The University of Vermont suspended 4 of its players in 2016 for a hazing incident, the Burlington Free Press reported. This was the second hazing controversy in the school's hockey history. In the 1999-2000 season, the university canceled all remaining games after another hazing scandal. A former player filed a lawsuit against the school, claiming he was forced into, quote, degrading activities as a member of the men's hockey team. Toxic viewpoints and beliefs aren't exactly rare these days, unfortunately, and the NHL has had to quietly deal with a few instances of that. In 2020, several players were caught sending inappropriate comments about women to one another. The discussion was revealed when someone hacked an Instagram group chat featuring Brendan Leipsic of the Washington Capitals and former Ottawa Senators prospect Jake Rodwald, then posted the discourse online. In the exchange, Leipsic made some shockingly insensitive comments on the physical appearances of several wives and girlfriends of other NHL players.
Oink oink, she's getting way bigger. No, you're too fat, Nicole. Joints can't take it.
In addition to alluding that he enjoyed using cocaine, Leipzig referred to women as animals and a thing meant to be conquered, the Washington Post reported. Leipzig apologized on Twitter for what he called offensive and inappropriate remarks. The Capitals said it would handle the matter internally, and the league released a statement that said, "There is no place in our league for such statements, attitudes, and behavior, no matter the form. We will address this inexcusable conduct with the clubs and players involved." Following the scandal, the Capitals released Leipzig from the team. He went on to play hockey in Russia, the CBC reported. Hockey has long been a melting pot of cultures, but despite the wide range of player nationalities, this didn't always mean players had positive experiences. For example, former NHL player Akim Aliu wrote a 2020 article in the Players Tribune about his experiences as a minority in the league. Aliu's father was Nigerian and his mother Ukrainian. He described how, starting with his teenage years in a junior hockey league with the Windsor Spitfires, some teammates treated him differently for the way he talked and dressed. In one incident, he refused to participate in a hazing ritual. As a result, his older teammate and future NHL player Steve Downey attacked him. "I turned and he shoved his fiberglass hockey stick through my mouth. I lost 7 teeth in half a second." Aliu further referred to Downey as a racist sociopath. Details of the situation made the news and, according to Aliu, many in hockey condemned his decision to discuss the issue. His troubling experiences as a professional hockey player also made him question the NHL's diversity campaign, Hockey is for Everyone. In his article in the Players Tribune, Aliu called for changes to the NHL and an end to, quote, "the racism, misogyny, bullying, and homophobia that permeates the culture of hockey." In response, the NHL posted a promise on Twitter to look into the behavior that Aliu described, and in 2020, they announced different initiatives to combat racism. In 2005, Ted Saskin became the executive director of the National Hockey League's Players Association, or the NHLPA, to represent the league's players. Yet, only 2 years into his contract, he was fired. The NHLPA Executive Board voted Saskin out after he and Ken Kim, the NHLPA's senior director, were accused of monitoring player emails, per the Hockey News. Popular player Chris Chelios from the Detroit Red Wings was on the NHLPA committee and reportedly led the charge to get rid of Saskin. Originally, Chelios and other players filed a lawsuit against Saskin, claiming that he lied in contract discussions and misappropriated funds. The lawsuit stated, Saskin misrepresented salary figures during negotiations, and he illegally diverted tens of millions of dollars in union funds for his own benefit. The lawsuit was rejected, but prompted a further look into Saskin and Kim. After an investigation, Saskin was found to be surveilling players through email for an extended period of time for his personal interests. Following Saskin, the players' union had a tough time keeping a leader. In 2009, the NHLPA once again dismissed its executive director, Paul Kelly. According to the New York Times, Kelly's unexpected departure marked the 4th time the NHLPA's top spot was empty in as many years. Bobby Hull was one of the all-time greats in the NHL, having made a dozen All-Star appearances. He also had a cool nickname, the Golden Jet. The Hull name continued in the NHL when his son, Brett Hull, joined the league and showed his equally impressive skills.
His father's a hockey legend, the famous Golden Jet. And now Brett Hull skates out of his father's shadow to become a hockey hero.
Even though Brett became a star on his own merit, he may be most remembered for a critical and controversial NHL call. In the 1999 Stanley Cup, Brett scored a triple overtime goal to give his team, the Dallas Stars, its first championship. Only, the final goal should not have counted, at least according to certain NHL fans and historians. The call is still hotly debated to this day. When Brett shot the winning goal, his foot had crossed into the goalie crease, while the puck was outside of it. According to the NHL rules, which had recently changed, the goal should have been waved off. The new rule stated, if a player has entered the crease prior to the puck, and subsequently the puck should enter the net while such conditions prevail, the apparent goal shall not be allowed. According to Bleacher Report, the league had overturned similar goals throughout the season in accordance with the rule. However, after the game, the NHL reviewed the goal and concluded it counted, since Brett had possession of the puck. Fans of hockey love the lightning-fast action. However, the intense pace and hard hits can have a lasting toll on players, resulting in both physical and emotional damage. For example, Bob Probert was a notoriously tough enforcer in the NHL, known to get into fights during matches. In 2010, when he was only 45 years old, he died from a heart attack. Though he admitted to heavy drinking and previously using cocaine, his time in the NHL may have cost Probert his life.
I try to do the best I can, and like I said, no one's perfect.
Looking into his death, Boston University researchers found that Probert had severe damage to his brain. Fighting and hits to the head potentially contributed to brain trauma and ultimately his death. per the New York Times. Another tragic death in the NHL occurred 1 year later with Derek Bogard, a popular player for the New York Rangers. He accidentally overdosed from a combination of painkillers and alcohol in 2011. Later, doctors discovered that he had suffered from a chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, the New York Times reported. Tragically, history repeated itself with the 2015 death of Steve Montador, which researchers again attributed to CTE.
What brought him down was concussions and the fact that he had too many and he came back and played and got more.
In response, the NHL released a statement that they didn't agree that there was any link to his hockey career. In America, the National Hockey Association was founded in 1909 but stopped operations by 1917. As a result, 4 Canadian teams joined together to form the NHL. And though the league owes its history to Canada, some feel the NHL is pushing out its Canadian teams. Many point their fingers at NHL chairman Gary Bettman for this development. Since he became commissioner in 1993, no Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup, according to the CBC. One reason is that many players from Canada go stateside to play. Almost 43% of players in the NHL are Canadian, but play for American franchises, who offer tempting perks for players beyond the clearly warmer weather. Bettman also made it a point to discourage NHL teams from relocating to Canada, per Bleacher Report. Superstar Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins is already considered one of the 10 best NHL players ever, according to Bleacher Report. The young prodigy entered the league in 2005 as the top overall pick, earning himself the nickname Sid the Kid. In addition to numerous awards, he had over 1,300 career points and won the Stanley Cup 3 times by 2021. While his influence in the NHL is undeniable, Crosby has endured his share of controversies, like when he upset many people after it appeared he received preferential treatment at the DMV. When Crosby skipped the line to renew his driver's license, he bypassed many others who were facing the stereotypical long wait times at the center. Though the DMV has policies in place for celebrities to avoid disruptions, some fans still felt Crosby should have waited like everyone else, per the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. But his controversies carry over onto the ice, too. In 2016, Crosby was accused of skipping the rules by opponents when it came to face-offs. After he won 71% of his face-offs in a Stanley Cup final game, Logan Couture from the San Jose Sharks claimed Crosby was playing dirty. Couture told Mercury News, "He cheats. He gets away with that. He's Sidney Crosby. He times them, and yet they don't kick him out for some reason, probably because of who he is." The Ottawa Citizen wrote that the 1927 season was, quote, "the greatest in the history of hockey." That year, the Ottawa Senators clinched the Stanley Cup, defeating the Boston Bruins in 4 games. What happened after that final game, however, would overshadow the Senators' win. When referee Jerry Laflamme was walking toward his office, the Bruins manager grabbed him, leading to several players assaulting the official. One of the culprits was player Billy Coutu. In addition to attacking Laflamme, he also reportedly tackled referee Billy Bell, who had attempted to stop the assault. After the incident, NHL President Frank Calder said in a statement, "For striking referees Bell and Dr. Laflamme, player Coutu is expelled from the National Hockey League and is fined $100. While the lifetime ban, the longest in league history, was harsh, it was less surprising given Coutu's history of aggression. He was previously fined and suspended for fighting during the 1923 playoffs. Coutu also once received a lengthy in-game penalty for using his stick to grab another player's neck and throw him to the ice. Though gambling has long been a part of professional sports, sometimes it can lead to the downfall of those who become involved in illegal practices, like we recently saw with NBA referee Tim Donaghy. The first big gambling scandal for the NHL was in 1948, when a Detroit gangster was caught placing illegal bets on games. A wiretap found that he was working with NHL players to fix games, which launched an investigation that led to one player getting expelled for life and another getting suspended. The NHL president at the time, Clarence Campbell, condemned the whole ordeal. Decades later, another scandal involving gambling on hockey games rocked the NHL. In 2021, the wife of San Jose Sharks player Evander Kane alleged that he bet on games and even altered his performance on ice to change their outcomes.
Short of murder, this is about the worst thing a pro athlete can do. Betting against your own team.
Kane said he never bet on hockey and denied purposefully contributing to a loss for gambling purposes, per ESPN. The NHL launched an investigation into the claims, and in September 2021, stated that the allegations had no proof. Unfortunately, it was a short-lived victory for Kane. The same day the NHL cleared him of the gambling allegations, they launched another investigation into allegations that he had assaulted his estranged wife.
The most salacious and dangerous allegation for Evander Kane is these claims of forced sexual assault.
The NHL probe also found that those claims were unsubstantiated, and yet Kane was still suspended for 21 games for yet another controversy.
Suspended San Jose Sharks forward Evander Kane for 21 games for submitting a fake COVID-19 vaccination card.
For much of its early history, the NHL lacked diversity. In fact, the league didn't have its first black player until 1958, when Willie O'Ree joined the NHL, CBS reported. O'Ree was later inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame and received a Congressional Gold Medal in 2022. He was also a diversity ambassador for the NHL's inclusivity program, Hockey is for Everyone. Yet the NHL appeared slow to adapt a diverse makeup of players. The Seattle Times reported that by 2021, only 6% of players are Black, Indigenous, or people of color. To try and improve, the NHL announced it would dedicate increased resources to create a more diverse landscape in hockey. In 2021, the league invested an additional $5 million to its Hockey is for Everyone program to strengthen diversity and inclusion. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE, 4673.